Joey Galloway and Desmond Howard here. And, it's almost euphoric. Chris talked about it a little bit. You think back to where Ohio State was after the Michigan game. Surely they couldn't gather themselves and beat Tennessee. But Joey had a chance to go a few days before the Tennessee game into Columbus, spent about a half an hour with Ryan Day, talking maybe 6 or 7 Buckeyes for a while. And they started talking about put it behind us, win 4 games, team capable of winning the national championship. Nobody this season has played better than they just did out in this field in really their last 2 games.
Yeah, they put 2 together, I think surprised a lot of people. Coming into the playoffs, there's no way Ohio State is favored against an undefeated Oregon team, the number 1 team in the country, in the way the season had gone. And then when people saw him play against Tennessee, and they said, whoa, wait a minute. This is the team we expected to see.
Yeah.
And so then they come into this one favored against the undefeated number 1 team in the country because of what they did against Tennessee.
Yeah.
And now this one even better,
Right.
They'll be favored in the next game.
Yeah, and it's a matter of how many points will they be favored by over Texas. Just a dominating performance. The last 2 games, Tennessee game, we were in Columbus for the game against Tennessee. Thought maybe the weather played a factor as far as Tennessee's defense, but you could tell Ohio State was the better team. But then tonight against Oregon, a team that obviously they played to the wire the first time these 2 teams met, thought it would be a continuation from that game, another high-scoring ball game. Well, listen, Ohio State lived up to they did their part. They lived up to it. Like they had 34 points in the first half. Oregon, not so much. It's really interesting, Joey, when you watch Ohio State's defense and how they affected Dillon Gabriel. Jim Knowles had a game plan that they worked to perfection. The execution was flawless. This is a quarterback in Dillon Gabriel who's had 63 starts. That's a veteran with a capital V when it comes to veteran quarterbacks in college football. But they still presented looks to him that he had no answers for. It's not like he was back there running for his life the whole game. He was back there looking, holding the ball. That's what they got. I believe maybe 8 sacks because he just had to hold the ball because he couldn't figure out what was going on the back end. So kudos to Jim Knowles, the DC, and his staff. They came up with an incredible scheme that confused Dillon Gabriel.
I talked to Chip Kelly as I was walking over here to join you guys, and I don't know that I've ever seen him as jubilant, almost euphoric in his approach. And, it was just such a virtuoso scheme that they used, especially early in the game, to showcase Jeremiah Smith, who Desmond, I think he's the best receiver.
You should have brought Chip with you. Why didn't you bring he was running so fast, Chip couldn't keep up with you.
I don't know. These legs don't move fast anymore, my friend. Not that they ever really did to begin with. And there's Will Howard. You feel good for Will because he really took that loss in Eugene hard. He took the loss against Michigan hard, made some mistakes that were game-changing types of things. But he's been a great leader, as Chris and Kirk talked about during the game. He's been resilient. His teammates love him. And he came through. He played very well tonight. But give me a little bit what you saw about what Chip did with Jeremiah Smith tonight.
Yeah, I tell you what, I felt as though Chip Kelly probably came in here with a mission and agenda because don't forget, he used to coach the Oregon Ducks. So I think he had a little extra sauce in his bag for these guys. And, he moved Jeremiah Smith around so they couldn't get those matchups where they could double team him, got the ball in his hands in space like this right here. Get the ball in his hands in space, on the move. These guys missed tackles, and then the rest is history. So that's what you want to do. He's an imposing figure for a true freshman. You're not going to just sit there and arm tackle him. You're going to have to put your pads on him and wrap him up and get him to the ground. So I thought that was incredibly smart by Chip Kelly. Get him some balls early, and then I'm assuming, Joey, that this was a busted coverage because I don't think there's a coverage in the Oregon Ducks game plan where they say, let's let number 4 run scot-free.
Yeah, that was a tough one. And I think part of it is our guy's better than your guys. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to give him the ball short, we're giving him the ball long, and some balls are just going to throw up to him, even when he's covered, and he comes down with them. And when a quarterback has a receiver like that, it changes the way they approach the game. Because when everything else is broken down, and you talked about Dillon Gabriel looking out at the defense and not understanding what he's seeing, if you have a Jeremiah Smith, you don't have to understand. You have to just know where he is.
Yeah.
And it is Jeremiah Smith is over here, so I don't actually care what you guys do. I'm going to throw it to number 4.
It's like a hymn play, right?
Absolutely. You are literally like, if it's one or two of you, number 4 is going to go up and get the ball.
Right.
And it literally changes the confidence that a quarterback has when you have those kind of weapons. And when it works early, Rece, you can sit back. You can sit back and relax.
Let me ask you a question, Joey.
Yeah.
When you looked at the Ducks secondary, did you look at their cornerbacks, their nickel, and their safety and say they look kind of small?
They did. And Jeremiah Smith is 6'3", 215.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of people look small.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when you go back and watch film, a lot of times the route ain't great.
No.
But it don't matter.
It doesn't.
Because he's so physically imposing against the guy he's going against.
Yeah.
It doesn't. He will literally run a slant. He will tell you he's running a slant.
Yeah.
He will turn his head inside so you know he's running. And you just can't stop him because he's that physical. And I don't know that I've seen a freshman come in and physically. Now, we've seen good freshmen, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But to physically dominate the way he does, I don't know if I've seen a freshman do that.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think the freshman down there at Alabama, Tuscaloosa, he's physically
Really
gifted.
good.
He's just not as big. Like his hand-eye coordination and his agility.
He's terrific.
Oh, it's out of this world. But that kid is just so physically imposing that. Man, it was a treat to watch him do what he did on this Rose Bowl tonight, and he won an MVP, offensive MVP.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
I had a scout tell me earlier this year that kid's eyelids have muscles. And some other guys watching him at Penn State on the sideline said, top 5, maybe number 1 right now. I've seen enough. I don't need to see any more.
Yeah.